Appalling. Media fails to grill Danielle Smith on separation. Critics call it a missed opportunity ****. In the midst of escalating discussions about Alberta's potential separation from Canada, Premier Danielle Smith finds herself under an intense spotlight. The province is gearing up for a referendum, with public sentiment bubbling over as signatures are being gathered to demonstrate support for this significant political move. However, rather than focusing on the substantive issues at hand, media coverage, particularly from outlets like CBC, has often veered into personal attacks against Smith, questioning her leadership and decision-making processes. The referendum itself is not merely a political maneuver. It reflects a growing sense of frustration among many Albertans who feel neglected by federal policies. This sentiment has been fueled by perceptions that the federal government has not adequately addressed Alberta's unique needs and challenges. As Smith navigates these turbulent waters, her responses to media inquiries become a focal point of contention. While critics argue that her lack of a definitive stance on separation signals indecisiveness, her measured approach may be a strategic attempt to maintain stability in a province that has experienced significant political turmoil in recent years. During a recent press conference, the media, especially CBC, posed pointed questions regarding Alberta's relationship with First Nations, particularly in the context of a potential separation. This line of questioning insinuated that moving towards independence could jeopardize treaty rights, effectively framing Smith as someone willing to disregard Indigenous sovereignty. In her responses, Smith firmly asserted that First Nations already possess sovereignty within Canada, thus countering the narrative aimed at vilifying her. This exchange highlights how media often seeks to create divisive narratives rather than fostering constructive dialogue on critical issues. Smith has also been proactive in addressing legislative reforms that facilitate the referendum process. Recent changes to Alberta's election laws have been designed to simplify the process for citizens wishing to propose a referendum, reflecting a broader commitment to democratic engagement. By advocating for a more accessible process, she aims to empower Albertans to have a direct say in significant political issues. Critics who question her motivations should consider the long-term vision behind these reforms, which are intended to create a more participatory political culture in Alberta. Economic implications play a crucial role in discussions about separation. The media has raised concerns about how independence might affect Alberta's access to markets and its economic relationships with other provinces. In her responses, Smith has emphasized the federal government's constitutional responsibility to ensure that provinces can reach international markets. She cited examples such as the Trans Mountain Pipeline to illustrate how strategic federal decisions can facilitate Alberta's resource exports, countering fears that separation would lead to economic isolation and instability. Another contentious point revolves around whether Smith has a legitimate mandate to pursue discussions about separation. Critics have argued that her party did not campaign on this issue, suggesting she lacks the authority to explore it. However, Smith clarified that while her party does not advocate for separation, it supports the citizens' right to decide their own future. This distinction is vital, as it positions her as a facilitator of democracy rather than an instigator of division, reinforcing the idea that the decision ultimately resides with the people of Alberta. As the discourse around separation continues to evolve, the roles of key political figures cannot be overlooked. Mark Carney, the new leader of the Liberal Party and Prime Minister, has remained relatively silent on Alberta's growing sentiments for independence. His reticence may indicate a reluctance to engage with a topic that could destabilize national unity. Conversely, Pierre Poilievre, the Conservative leader, has also refrained from taking a clear stance, leaving many to speculate about his position. This lack of decisive leadership from prominent figures adds to the uncertainty surrounding Alberta's political future and the national response to its aspirations. The media's portrayal of Smith raises significant questions about objectivity and fairness. Critics argue that sensational stories, such as her trip to Mar-a-Lago, detract from more pressing issues affecting Albertans. By focusing on personal attacks rather than thorough policy analysis, the media risks undermining the public's ability to engage in informed discussions about such a critical issue. The emphasis on sensationalism rather than substantive reporting often shifts the conversation away from the real challenges and opportunities facing Alberta. In light of these complexities, there is an urgent need for media outlets to reassess their coverage of the separation debate. The potential for Alberta to pursue independence is not merely a political talking point. It reflects deep-rooted frustrations among its residents regarding their treatment within the Canadian Federation. As the media continues to scrutinize Smith's leadership, it must balance criticism with an acknowledgement of the broader context and the legitimate concerns of Albertans. The debate surrounding separation is emblematic of larger national issues, including regional disparities and the evolving relationship between provinces and the federal government. As Alberta stands at a crossroads, it is essential for the public to engage in this dialogue. The issue of separation is not just a matter of political strategy. It reflects deep-seated sentiments about identity, governance, and the future of the province. Smith's role as a facilitator in this process is critical. If citizens feel empowered to initiate a referendum, it represents a significant step toward a more engaged and participatory democracy. This empowerment is vital in a political landscape where many feel their voices are not being heard. As we consider the implications of a potential separation, it is crucial to reflect on how to promote constructive dialogue. Is the media's portrayal of Smith a fair representation of her leadership, or does it reflect an agenda that undermines meaningful discourse? These questions will shape the future of Alberta and its relationship with the rest of Canada. Engaging in this conversation is imperative, as the outcome of the referendum could have far-reaching consequences for the province and the country as a whole. The public's voice is essential in determining the path forward, and as discussions evolve, it is vital to ensure that all perspectives are considered. The potential referendum on separation is an opportunity for Albertans to express their views on their future. As the conversation continues, it will be essential for all stakeholders, citizens, media, and politicians, to engage thoughtfully and respectfully in discussions that will define Alberta's identity and governance in the years to come. The stakes are high, and the future of Alberta may depend on how this dialogue unfolds.